We're starting out the holiday season here at Bubbly Balloon Co. with an extra dose of cheer, and if you want to learn how to make our first Christmas creation of the year, this cute miniature tabletop Christmas tree made entirely out of balloons, then keep watching. Hey friends, welcome to Bubbly Balloon Co. My name is Rachel, and my favorite time of year is here. It's the holiday season, and to celebrate, I'm doing something like a dozen holiday creations between late October and the end of the year, and I need your guys' help coming up with a name for this kind of series. It's not the 12 days of Christmas. We're doing other things besides Christmas. We're doing fall, we did Halloween, we're doing Thanksgiving, we might do some other holidays in there, we got New Year's. I need a name with pizzazz, so if you guys have any ideas for me, go ahead and leave them in the comments below. But let's get started with our tabletop Christmas tree. Now this is a pretty simple creation. You're not going to need a whole lot of supplies, but here's what you will need. A low temp glue gun. I will link the one I used down below. I'm going to be using some 160 balloons in white for some detail at the end. This is optional. You can replace this with other things, which I'll go over later, but I like 160s in white. You are going to need a bag of 5-inch balloons in your preferred color. Today I'm using evergreen from Tuftex, but there's a lot of great greens out there that'll do the job, so I'll go ahead and put a few of those on the screen for you here. So if you have one that's more readily available, you can use that instead. And you can also get whimsical with it. If you want to do a tree in pink or black or some other fun color, just get one bag of 5-inch balloons in whatever color you're going to be using. Now I'm also using some 5-inch balloons in red from Party City. Those are going to be my little ornaments. You could use chrome silver, gold, other colors, whatever accents you want to use. Have a few of those on hand as well. Now I'm going to be using a single paper plate, a pair of scissors. You do need a hand pump for some of the balloons we're going to be working with. And then I'm going to be using these glue dashes here, but any balloon adhesive that you like and trust could work, whether it's glue dots or balloon bond or whatever. And then I'm actually going to be repurposing some leftover spider webs from Halloween to make it look like snow. But if you have actual, fake snow, that works as well. But this is a good way to get rid of some leftovers from Halloween, okay? And of course, I always have my electric dual nozzle pump with me. If you prefer to use a hand pump, you can, but I highly recommend these bad boys. They're super cheap and they make life so much easier as a balloon artist or a DIYer. And as always, I include links for as many of these products as possible down below. I'm gonna go ahead and store my scissors and my hand pump in my apron along with my bag of 160s. I'll be using these soon. Now everything else that I'm not using in this first step, I'm gonna go ahead and put off to the side. So all we need to start with is our low temp glue gun, our paper plate, our dual nozzle pump or hand pump, whatever you're gonna use to inflate balloons, and then our base color. So I'm going to be building layers to this tree in sets of 4, what we call quads in the balloon world. So what I'm going to do is take 2 balloons at a time, a little pair here, and turn that into what we call a duplet. Okay, I'm going to show you how easy that is with a dual nozzle pump. All you want to do is take 2 balloons at the same time, put one on each nozzle, and inflate to the same size. Now this tree is going to be kind of like gradiated, so we're going to go from larger at the bottom to smaller at the top. So I'm going to pretty much inflate these as large as we'll comfortably go. And on each layer, all 4 balloons are going to be inflated to the same size on this. I will be eyeballing it, but if you have a professional sizer, obviously you're welcome to use that, okay? So we inflate them 2 at a time like this. All right, so I got them to pretty much the same size. That looks pretty even to me. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap those necks around each other and give that a pretty secure tie there, tug on that so it's nice and tight, and make my second pair. Okay, now I held these up next to the others, made sure they look like they're pretty similar in size, and I'll go ahead and tie these off too. Now we're going to put these 2 duplets together to make our first quad, and that's going to be the first layer of our tree. So putting the centers together and giving it a couple of twists, that's now pretty secure. And you just want to go ahead and make sure that's pretty flat, pretty level. If it pops up, you know what I mean, just play with it, get it flat again. And now we're going to go ahead and glue this carefully to this paper plate. Now I do super prefer low temp glue guns. I've had bad experiences with balloons and hot glue guns, so I'm a little bit of a chicken about it. But all I'm gonna do is put a pretty big like squiggle there that takes up most of that balloon. And then I'm gonna go ahead and press it down and try and get that to stick. Okay? There you go. And that's the first one down. Now I do want to glue the other balloons down to the base as well, just so as it ages, as the balloons kind of deflate as the days go by, they're not starting to pop up and like ruining the whole thing all the way up. So I am going to try and slip my glue gun in between the balloon and the paper plate here and glue down the remaining 3 balloons from this first layer. Okay, our first layer is all glued down, and you can see it's a little bit off center of the plate, but that's not to worry because we're gonna go ahead and cover all those edges with that fake snow for a tree skirt at the end. Now, side note, I do think you get a better bond, you get a better stick if you use a hot glue gun. So if you're brave enough, if you've got good experience using hot glue guns and balloons, go for it. I personally do not, so I'm gonna stick with a low temp glue gun. I'm gonna say a few prayers to the balloon gods and hope this turns out for the best. Next, I'm gonna inflate the rest of the layers for this tree. So I'm gonna have 4 layers in total, so I need 3 more quads. I've got 4, 4, and 4 out right here. And of course, these are gonna be getting progressively smaller as we go up. So I'm gonna go ahead and inflate my first pair here, and I will be eyeballing it next to this first layer of the tree here to make sure it is significantly smaller as I work my way up. Now when you get to that top layer, you're gonna need some pretty small and cute balloons here at the top. And my secret to getting 5-inch balloons to look cute like this is to put it on the inflator, wrap your hands around the balloon, and really kind of like squeeze and restrict the airflow so you're directing it just to the very top of the balloon. So the only bit that gets inflated is the top portion, okay? And then we're gonna go and inflate them like that and tie them off really close and tight and double knot them. Now I am going to cut the leftover necks off of these because there's a lot of excess neck when you use so little of a balloon, and I don't want that visible, so just to be safe, I'm going to cut those off. Now it's time to assemble the remaining layers and put them onto this base layer of our tree, and there's several ways you can do this. If you're comfortable with the low temp glue gun, you can go ahead and literally just glue these on 1 layer at a time. Of course, as you put these on, you want to stagger them, and you want to kind of push them down as much as you can in the center without causing friction, without, causing anything to pop or rupture. But you do want to get that like snug look as much as possible. Okay, you can also use glue dashes or some other adhesive to go ahead and I would put 1 on the bottom of each balloon if you're gonna go that route, just to make sure, again, as it shrinks over time, as the days go by and it starts to reposition itself and lose a little bit of air here and there, you don't want them to start folding in on themselves. So I would glue down every single balloon on each layer as you work your way up. But my favorite way, you guys know, let's just use a 160 to attach these top 3 layers to each other, and then we will attach it to the base layer, okay? So all I'm gonna do is go ahead and stagger these, press them in where I want them positioned. Now, if you do the 160 method like I did, be sure not to treat it too much like a garland. You want to keep those quads separate. You want to keep those layers distinguished one from the next. You have that top small layer, this medium layer a little larger, so that there's still that distinction and it looks like a tree. All right, to attach the top of this tree to the base layer here, I am going to be using these glue dashes. I'm going to put 1 glue dash on the bottom of each of these 4 balloons and then go ahead and stick it just where I want it. Make sure it feels nice and secure. Now, one note on this, I'm not putting them on the center of any of these balloons because they are staggered and the center of the bottoms doesn't usually touch the next layer, okay? So just kind of slightly off center, and you'll probably be okay even if they don't all touch another balloon down there or on that bottom layer. You'll probably be totally fine. I just like to take that extra step of security just so it lasts longer and it looks the same for longer. And we have the basic tree completed. How cute is this, you guys? It's pretty secure. I can shape that pretty good. Nothing's moving around here. All right, so I feel like that will probably last me a few weeks at least, maybe longer, depending on the quality of your balloons, how secure everything is, how tight you tied those necks so no air is seeping out. Okay, now we get to decorate the tree. Let's trim this sucker. So next I'm gonna make little teeny tiny ornaments out of those red balloons. I might even make some popcorn garland out of those white 160s. I'm gonna make some sort of tree topper, and then we're gonna finish it all off with that cute little snow skirt. Now, in order to make these ornaments as teeny tiny as they need to be to kind of look to scale with the tree, what we're gonna use is a hand pump, okay? And as well, we're gonna hold off the very top here. We're gonna direct that airflow and make sure the air only goes into the tip top of this little teeny balloon. So I'm rolling this balloon down so that the tip of the nozzle is directly in that little bulb at the very end. Because you guys, I'm going for like a 1-inch little teeny tiny balloon here, so I only want to inflate the very end of it, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and give that like one pump. This is bigger than I want, but I have to go ahead and pinch it off quickly, okay? And then start to let a little bit of air out while pushing the air down so I don't lose that round shape. Okay, and then just twist, twist, twist. Now when I'm twisting, I'm really trying to push that air down to keep that cute little round shape. Okay, and when that's pretty securely twisted, I'm gonna do a really secure knot and probably double or triple knot it. So let's go ahead and tie that, pull that through, and let's make sure that knot is really close to the base of the balloon here so that shape doesn't change. And I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing one more time. Tie it off, pull that tight, and look at this cute little ornament. It's so sweet, it's like Rudolph's nose. All right, now I don't need that like whole tail back there, the little tadpole situation, so I'm gonna chop that off, okay? And now I can either use cool glue, I could use a glue dot, whatever, to go ahead and place that wherever I want it on the tree. Now, if you want a more organic look with this, you can just go ahead and put this wherever you want it. If you want it to look more uniformed, a little more, you know, perfected, you can go ahead and put these in between every single hole in between the layers of balloons. Now you do want to push this in pretty far when you do this. Now, one tip I have to say on making these little tiny ornaments is the smaller your balloon is, like this little teeny tiny thing, the tighter your knots have to be, because these will lose air so quickly and they will be deflated so fast. So your ornaments might not last as long as the rest of the tree. You might want to, you know, kind of cut them out as they deflate and replace them. But if you do a really good job tying them, you know, they might just last the whole time. The perfect size and shape of these is probably like a cherry tomato. That's probably what we're going for here. If you want to do some a little bit larger, some a little bit smaller, you can have kind of a various different size of ornaments on your tree. It's totally up to you. To put these on today, I'm using the cool glue gun on the very tip of this little knot here because it's a little bit sturdier. It can take a little more heat applied to it. And I'm just going to put a big old dollop there and then stick that in just where I want it, about right in there. And I do want to stick that in pretty deep to try to hide the tail itself. I don't want any of that showing through. I just want it to look like a perfect little ornament, and that's all that you can see. Now that she's got some basic ornaments on her, let's talk about tree toppers. What would be perfect for this would be one of those tiny foil star balloons, and unfortunately I don't have any in stock right now. That would be the perfect addition. If you wanted to put an actual like bow on it, make something else, put a little metal something or other on there, that would also work. I'm just gonna make a simple kind of like bow star type thing out of a 160 and use that. Now let's decorate out in a little tree skirt of fake snow using leftover spider webs. Honestly, the materials are so similar anyway. All I want to do is just kind of stretch this out and make sure that there's, you know, sometimes it gets like kind of like the crispy edges. Does that even make sense? On the spider webs, or you can see where it was processed and cut. Maybe there's like some residual something or other there. So I just want to kind of fluff that out a little bit, make this look a lot fluffier like snow rather than those little like ridges that are in the spider webs. Okay, and it's okay if those are still on one side, like on the bottom, you know, we can kind of work with that and hide it. So what I'm gonna do is kind of lay this out where I want it. So now that I've got like a fairly fluffy little fake snow pile laid out for my tree skirt, I'm gonna whip out my cool glue gun again, and I'm gonna put a lot on this plate, like any remaining open space on this plate. I kind of wanna cover in this cool glue, and then I'm gonna stick that snow to it as best I can. And now we just want to fluff it out even more with any remaining spider webs we have here. Just really make that look fluffy and snowy. I mean, however you want your tree skirt to look. I would recommend doing this tree skirt step at the very end when you have it in place where it's going to be hanging out for the next couple weeks or months, because it's not going to be super easy to move after that. And you don't have to use snow either. You could use like tinsel or construction paper or a bit of fabric if you have it to make a different tree skirt. And honestly, you can even skip the tree skirt entirely and even skip the paper plate if you're not feeling it. You can just use the balloons and have it rest on the table if that's your vibe. All right, if you want to add any final touches, now's your chance. You guys, I'll be honest, I'm not a twister. I'm more of an organic decorator, not so much into the precision work and the twisting. And I have to tell you, it has taken me so much practice to learn how to make these little bubble strands for the popcorn garland. But if this is something you guys are interested in, let me know in the comments. You know I'll make a video for you. And with this little bit of popcorn garland added on here, she's good to go for the season. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today, guys. I hope you like this first Christmas decoration of the year. If there's something in particular you're dying to see this season, let me know down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.